Hi, good evening all Baliradio.net listeners. Welcome to Baliradio.net with me, Faiza. And tonight we are lucky because we have a guest here in the studio who is Mr. Patrick van Kampen, who is the Rotary Club President. And when I say Rotary Club, I'm talking about the Rotary Club of Bali Seminyak. Hello Patrick, how are you?
Very well, thank you. Very nice to be here this evening.
Yeah, it's very nice to have you here this evening. Can you please introduce yourself a little bit to our listeners?
I came to Bali 20 years ago as a headmaster of a school. And then I opened my own language school. I had that for 10 years up until 2002 when we had the ball. And then I had another business where I was in a handicraft business for 5 years. In the last few years I've just been semi-retired, basically doing Rotary work. So, originally from America. Okay. Anything else? I'm not married.
Okay. And since you mentioned that now you're also spending most of your time with the Rotary Club,
right.
I think that there are people who are not that familiar yet with the Rotary Club. So maybe you can explain a little bit about that.
Okay, basically what Rotary is, it's a volunteer organization, and in one sentence you could basically say that it's a global network in community volunteers. So if you're talking about volunteers, that means we're not getting any kind of money. And the basic concept is that as business people, professional people in the community, we look for, say, problems. Say maybe there is a need in a hospital or a school. Maybe there's equipment they might need or some repairs they might need. We then try to find some funding. A lot of times we look for money outside Indonesia. We don't do a lot of fundraising here because if you look in Europe, the States, Australia, other Rotary clubs have money and they would like to have it be used in a place like Indonesia, Bali. So that's basically what we do. We look for problems, we look for money, and then we try to bring the two together so we can solve problems here. So in a nutshell.
And when did this Rotary Club of Bali Seminyak got formed?
We started in 2002. We started in February 2002, and then we were meeting on a regular basis. We meet every week up until May of that year, and then we were given our license. They call it a charter.
Okay.
And then the next month we had a very nice big party to tell everybody else in the community, other Rotarians in the community, that we were official.
Okay.
And so then, so this is our 10th anniversary. We're having a big party again in 19th of May.
Yay,
celebrating
congratulations.
10 years, thank you, 10 years.
Okay, and what was actually the background of how these Rotarians got together, and in the end formed Rotary Club of Bali Seminyak?
Well, actually, I was invited to be a Rotarian in Surabaya in 1985, and I was in that club for a very short period of time. Pretty busy at that time. I was 32, and I was headmaster of an international school there. Didn't have the time for Rotary because to be a volunteer you need some time. When I came to Bali in '92, I was invited to join the Rotary Club in Nusa Dua. That was the first English-speaking club. Because we now have today 15 clubs, 6 of them are English-speaking. At that time, in '92, there was only one club that was English-speaking. The rest were all Indonesian-speaking clubs.
In Bali?
In Bali. And in 2001, the head of the Rotary in Bali asked me if I'd like to start another English-speaking club in the Seminyak area. So then we started to contact business people in the Seminyak area, foreigners primarily, and asked them if they'd be interested to start a Rotary Club. So we started with 21, 22 people, and we're up now today to 45 members in a period of 10 years. We'd like to get up to 50, but it takes some time to do that.
So we were talking about the background of the Rotary Club Seminyak before, and I was wondering whether the Rotary Club of Bali Seminyak is also having like joint programs with the other Rotary clubs, the other Rotarians on the island.
We do. It's interesting you ask that. Typically Rotary is set up that every community would have a Rotary chapter, so that you kind of look at the problems within that community. I've always had a feeling that it's because we're a English-speaking club, we're foreigners. It's a real advantage if we can work with the Indonesian Rotary clubs because their projects might be a bit different, and maybe they're going to look at a problem, I would say certainly differently than we would look at it. So in the last few years, we've tried that. In fact, the Kuta Club, there's a Rotary Club here in Kuta. They were the co-sponsors of our club in 2002. And I asked them last year, would you like to have a joint meeting? Because if you can bring all the people together, then you get to meet each other and begin to talk. And from there, I think actually we're going to start doing some joint projects together. We tried one, it didn't quite work out, but then it's a possibility we'll do other things. I'm also interested to work with the Denpasar Club, and also there's a club in Sanur that we're very interested to work with. But it kind of depends on the year of the presidents. If you have a president that you call them and they call you back and they want to do something, it works out much better that way. So very interested to do that.
Okay, and what is the recent main activity of the club right now? What kind of projects are you dealing with at the moment?
Well, over the past 10 years, we've had probably, I'm going to say, close to 20 different projects. And typically Rotary, we often say that you start something, you have a middle, and then you have an end. We don't have things that are, in general, that are ongoing for a long time. So, for example, if a hospital needed a piece of equipment, you would purchase that equipment, maybe help them with the training, and then finish. Now, we do have a particular project that has been ongoing for a number of years. We're helping a lot of different elementary schools with the libraries, because a lot of elementary schools here don't have libraries, and so we've been trying to help them with that. Another long-term project we've had is to do with cleft palate. We call cleft operations. That's where I don't know in Bahasa Indonesia what they call that. It's when they have the lip deformed.
I see.
What do you call it in Indonesia?
Sumbing.
That's right. And if you have we call it a lip, sort of call it a cleft lip, or even underneath the palate can be open. And we've done a lot of operations with that. We've worked with an NGO here, a yayasan called the Smile Foundation. And what we do is we look for money outside, or we do our own fundraising, and we give it to this particular yayasan, and then they actually do the work with the children. We've had projects to do with malaria. We've had projects to do with water. Quite a few water projects, either trying to dig wells or possibility going into a school and maybe helping them with their toilet facilities as well, to put some sort of water in as well. So those are kind of the projects that we've been involved with.
Okay, very well, very nice. And why did you join this Rotary Club in the first place, aside from being asked to join while you were still back in Surabaya?
Yeah, I think probably because my background, I'm a teacher. I think our idea of a teacher is to help other people. So for me, it's a very easy fit to try to help other people who aren't as lucky as we are. I've often said to our own members that many of us being born, say, in Australia or America, England, just to be born in these countries, we're just very lucky because we begin already with a nice house, nice car, nice education. And if we come to a place like Indonesia, many people aren't so lucky. So I often say that try to share a little bit of what you have, and we're not asking the people to do a lot, but share your knowledge, share your skills, share your time, and of course obviously we're looking for money if people want to give us money as well. So I also like the idea of to be a volunteer. I think that a lot of things can be done if we work together as volunteers. So that's both of those reasons.
And now I really want to ask about your role as president in the club.
My role? Well, it depends on the day.
Okay.
Typically, I think when you're president of a volunteer group like this, you have to have a pretty good plan when you begin. So that means you have to be a leader. And then once your plan is in place, you have to then be a fairly good manager to try to get your team to work with you. I think along the way you have to try to educate the members, because we have a lot of people that are coming and going, so we have new members. So that's part of my job. And I think maybe the most important one is, because again it's a volunteer organization, you have to try to motivate people to do their job and do their work. I think when some people come in, they're not so clear exactly what Rotary is, and then it's up to us. I have a board of directors that I work with, and I have chair people who are in different committees. So it's up to us really to try to help the new members become part of our group and then understand that this is volunteer. It's a networking group, but not business networking. I think sometimes people come in and they think, oh, I can sell maybe air conditioners, or I can sell and do something else. They see that aspect. And we have to fairly quickly say, no, that's you're coming and you're giving us your knowledge, you're giving us your skills. And like I said, we're looking for money as well. People want to do that. But basically it's time for them to volunteer to help us somehow. So yes, I have quite a few different hats I have to wear. Depends on the year.
Okay, and what about if people want to join the Rotary Club? How can they join it?
Well, we have, I'd have to say, a fairly open door policy. I think traditional Rotary clubs, say in America or Europe, you only could come if you were invited.
Oh.
Still today, typically people will come if a friend or someone else, a member, is actually inviting them to come along, because I don't think too many people would just walk in to our lunch and say, hello, I want to become a member, or I want to see what you're doing. So typically people are invited. We meet once a week, Wednesdays at lunchtime at the Matisse in the Kobokan. And we normally ask people to come along at least 3, 4, 5 times to our lunch meetings. And then during that time we give them information about what Rotary is and what we're doing specifically. And then actually it works both ways. Do they like us? And then do we like them? And then we have a process where then they fill out an application form, and then we ask our board of directors to kind of review their application form, and then that's how we accept someone to come into our club. But we're always looking for volunteers. So.
And how often is it that you guys don't like someone who walks into the club?
Oh, it's rare.
Is it a lot?
It's pretty unusual, pretty rare. I think to get someone to be a volunteer today is difficult, because I find if we have foreigners, primarily expatriates, most of them have their own businesses, and I see a lot of people here work 6 days a week. I think if you're in Australia or the States, people have traditional kind of work where it's 5 days a week. If you own your own business, obviously you're going to work more, but we have a lot of people that put in a lot of working hours. We have a lot of members who travel a lot. They're out to Jakarta, or they're in Australia, or they're in Europe, or in Singapore. That's a problem. Really, to find volunteers is not easy, and someone who is willing to come along and be reliable, to be consistent. We like people to come to our meetings on a regular basis, and if we give them a job to do, hopefully they'll do the job, that they won't say yes and then run away. So it's not so easy. So no, we've not turned down many people. So
okay.
What, would you like to become a member?
Yeah.
Come along to a lunch next week, and I'm going to invite you then.
Okay. Well, now I have my last question here. I heard something about the mystery handshake.
Mystery handshake?
Can you tell a bit about that?
It's such a mystery that I don't know about it.
Oh, wow.
No,
I'm well informed then.
It's very interesting. Rotary, a lot of people will say they've heard the name, and they understand that it's a group of business people. Sometimes they think, oh, it's very exclusive, like a country club. And actually in the States or Australia, it's really for middle class people. It's just for anyone. So no secret handshakes, just normal people trying to help the community.
And normal handshakes.
Normal handshake.
Okay. Well, Patrick, thank you very much for coming into the studio. We really enjoyed the interview, and I'm sure that all our listeners also did. And before we end the interview, we want to give you the chance to request a song, since we're a radio station. So you can request the song that you want, and we'll play it just after the interview.
Oh, not being much of a person that understands music. I think probably, this is interesting. This has a connection with my daughter. We had a very nice song when she was born. That's 33 years ago.
Okay.
So you may have to dig into your archives. It was called Bright Eyes.
Okay.
So,
By?
I don't know. Actually, I don't know. It was actually played. It was popular in 1979 when she was born. So you have to dig into your archives. So it was called Bright Eyes. So,
Okay, we'll do that.
okay.
Bright Eyes from somewhere during 1979. Fine. Well, thank you very much again. And for you guys, Baliradio.net listeners, don't go anywhere because we'll still have a lot of music, a lot of information. So just stay tuned. Have a great day.